All right, welcome back to a special episode of Guitar Fundamentals on StichMethod. As you can tell, I'm outside, I'm recording on the iPad, and I'm going to try and make the video and audio as good as possible. Currently in Montana, a little smoky in the sky, but nonetheless, we're parked at this beautiful river behind me, and I figured I'd do a lesson outside, and we'll see how it goes. Also, I might have to cut a little bit as the RVs and cars roll past on this rocky road. But besides that, let's get going. Let's talk about how, when practicing songwriting and putting chords into your song, how do some songs or songwriters have so many chords in their songs? And it's like, how do they do this? And we're going to start with this very simple process of learning how parallel keys kind of work together. All right, and so it's gonna be very, very simple. This is for you to kind of sit by the campfire, right, and just make up stuff. If you have lyrics, you can sit and try and see if these new chords add to your song. And so let's get down to it. We're going to talk about basically what are called the ones, fours, and fives. Now, this is all over my channel. If you've seen me and Sean Daniel talk, we talk about ones, fours, and fives. Ones, fours, and fives, which you'll learn about very much here, are really important. And we'll get down to it. Let's start with the key of G. Okay, so in the key of G, the 1 chord is the G, the 4 chord is the C, and the 5 chord is the D. And so here we have the G, C, and D combination, the 1, 4, and 5. Those chords will always go together, and I'm sure if you're watching this, you're rolling your eyes because every song you look up has G, C's, and D's in it. But let me show you how to find any 1, 4, and 5 really quickly on the guitar. It's so simple, it almost hurts. You pick any note, and that's the 1, and now, right next door is the 4, and 2 frets up is the 5. And so you need to figure out what notes you're playing, but this is an A, and then here's the 4, that note is a D, and here's the 5, that note is an E. So we have A, D, and E. That's the 1, 4, and 5 of A. If you look here, here's that G. Okay, that's the 1. Here is the 4. That's a C. Here's the 5. That's a D. Now, enough already about that. 1s, 4s, and 5s, okay? Now, if you look here, G, C, and D is really common, and there are hundreds, if not thousands, of songs that have made musicians super rich with just those 3 chords, right? But there's also a lot of songs that made musicians super rich that have more than those chords. So let's talk about that. It's a very, very easy concept. When I have a G, C, and D, you now can take any chord of that bunch. Let's take the C chord and find the 1, 4, and 5 of that root note. Here is that C again. Here's the root note. So let's look. We have C. Here's the 4. What note is that? That's an F. So C, F, and G. All right, so G, C, and D has this gravitational force. And now, if you look, C, F, and G, right? They already have, if you listen, there's your C chord. We already said that. It's already in the G, C, and D set. Here's an F chord. That's a new one. And here's a G. Again, that was already in the G, C, and D set. So this F chord, or this F chord, or this F chord, whichever one, can now be a part of your grouping. G, C, D, and even F. And I'm sure you've played some songs that have G's, C's, and F's, and G's, and C's, and D's. And you can mix and match these into your heart's delight, but we're not going to stop there. All right, let's take a look. G, C, and then D. All right, and so now we have, sorry, I just played G, C, F, G, C, and D. Don't listen to me. All right, so look at the D. What's the 1, 4, and 5 of D? Well, let's find a D. All the way down here. D, that's a D. G, A. All right, D, G, and A. Cool. All right, so now I already have a D that I'm playing in the G, C, and D set. I already have a G that I'm playing from the G, C, D set, and now I have an A chord. Great. So now G's, C's, D's, and A's, and F's, all these guys are going to go together, because as soon as you start playing all these, they're all going to start to go together. And I'll show you more. All right, look, you can keep on piling these on. I did the G, C, and D, I did the C, F, and G, and I did the D, G, and A. Okay, but how about, the G, C, and D, C, F, and G? Let's look at the F. F, F, B flat, C. You have so many chords. You can hear my son's footsteps right there. Hey, buddy, how are you? And so if you look here, I had G, C, and D as my first chord set. And then C, F, and G is my second chord set off the C chord. I went to a D, D, G, and A as my third chord set. And I said, well, you know what? I had an F chord. I had an F chord there. Okay, so how about F, B flat, C? Let's try putting the B flats in. Going to go together. They all form these like gravity like spheres that you really can branch out to the 1-4-5 of a chord within your sphere and kind of develop this universe of chords that go together. You can hear my son's footsteps, right? He's looking right at me. So take any chord set you want and look at those chords, any 1, 4, and 5 chord set, 1, 4, and 5, and then look at the individual chords inside of it and branch off into these 1s, 4s, and 5s. I'll do it again in a totally different key, okay? Let's try C, F, and G to start, okay? C, F, G, okay? So this is the key of C. That's the 1, the 4, and the 5. And so we have the 1 chord, right? You're gonna hear some trucks rolling by. The F chord, and the G. All right, let's look at the F. Well, the F is F, B flat, and C. So we get to bring the B flat in. C, F, G. I'll cut here. I'll wait. I'll wait for the truck to roll by. You stand still. All right. So here we go. C, F, G, and B flat, C, G. All right. So you have C, F, G. You have the G, C, and D from the G. So now you have G's, C's, and D's. You have C's and F's and G's. And F's and B flats and C's, and you can do any combination you want. And this is how musicians get all these different chord sets into their songs. Now, playing them randomly, you know, is fun by campfire, just entertaining people. But if you have a song, you know, if you have a song with lyrics, you really now can open up a direction of the music by coming off of one of those chords with a 1, 4, and 5 of one of those chords and creating a chorus, creating a bridge, creating a new movement. Now, there's no minor chords in this lesson right now. This is about 1s, 4s, and 5s moving you through parallel keys. So you try it out. You know, I hope you enjoyed this video. Really quick. It's just learning that, you know, there is music theory out there. You keep it light. You don't have to keep it heavy, and it's going to help move your music in different directions. That's the whole hope of it. So let me know if you enjoyed the video, if you enjoyed the background. I'll see you soon on another episode of Guitar Fundamentals. Remember, 1s, 4s, and 5s always work. Just branch out like different universes from the chords you're using. It's always going to work. Rock and roll. Bye-bye.